Okay, pause on YouTube. 6-Foot Hacks here. Happy for you guys. Today, my round 1 games of Smogon PU Open. Now, a lot of you guys really seem to like when I uploaded the NU Open games I uploaded a couple weeks ago. So I saw that PU Open was happening and I decided to sign up for it. And yeah, these are going to be our round 1 games against InfernoMonferno or InfernoMonferno, one of the two. It escapes me at the current moment, but he did say he was a subscriber of mine, so quick shout outs to him for him being our round 1 opponent. Now, I do want to apologize that these were not live recorded. The main reason it wasn't live recorded was just because at the time I didn't think about it and I was kind of pressed for time because I had been doing my summer showdown matches. And then it's a pretty good thing I didn't do these live because they probably would have been much longer. Like this whole video, if I did it live, would have probably been like an hour long, to be perfectly honest with you guys. But yeah, it turns out that I had something come up like a few minutes after I finished the final round that I played against InfernoMonferno here. So yeah, it's a good thing I didn't do them live because I probably would have had to leave in like the midway of one of the 2 or 3 games that I did have. I don't want to give any spoilers away. So if you guys do enjoy this, make sure to hammer arm that like button down below. I will try to maybe do these live for future rounds. It really all depends, to be perfectly honest with you guys. So this should be going up on Sunday, and I don't know if this will be the first video for Sunday or the second video for Sunday, but if it's the first video, I should have a Wi-Fi battle going up. If it's the second video, then I had a Wi-Fi battle go up earlier today, so you guys go check that out as well, because it wasn't P, it was actually a different tier. But yeah, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into this. So, for those of you who may not be aware, recently Samurott actually got banned from the PU tier, along with Hariyama and what was the last one? So Barbarical was the last one. I quickly went to go check. But yeah, Barbarical, Samurott, and Hariyama all got banned. But because this round technically started before those bans have not gone through for this first round. So we are still allowed to use those 3 Pokemon if we so wish to do so. So that's why we have Samurotts on our teams. But for those of you who played PU, let me know what you guys think about Samurott, Barbarical, and Hariyama being banned. I would really be interested to hear your guys' opinion on that. But want to give a quick shout out to the homie Tone for passing me this pretty awesome PU squad here. I think he posted a different version of this team on my server, but I think he just touched it up and changed like 1 or 2 sets. But it's a team based around Specs Guzzlord, which I still think is an absolute monster. Like, look at his team. This is not taking a Draco. This is not taking a Draco. This is not taking a Draco. Not taking a Draco. Not taking a Draco. This is sure as hell not taking a Draco. So Guzzlord is a humongous threat in this matchup. The only issue is that if I get to -2 special attack, Lilligant could potentially come in, Quiver Dance, or Sleep Powder me, and that could be a little bit scary to deal with. Also, because he does have a Crustle, this most likely is going to be his lead, so I have to watch out for him getting up not only rocks, but also getting up a layer of spikes, which I don't have any hazard removal on this team. So yeah, again, quick shout out to the homie Tone. Shouts out to the Bullet Punch Club. It's just too sweet for passing me this team right here. So going into this game, as I mentioned, Lilligant could be an absolutely humongous threat if I'm not able to get a little bit of prior damage on it to put it in range of where Ice Shard from Little Mamo here can knock it out. Also, if he's able to get up rocks along with spikes, like rocks aren't entirely too bad, but rocks and spikes could be very detrimental going into this game. A good thing is though that he's got no real answer for me getting up my own hazards, so that could definitely come in handy for me. Either way though, I do very positively think he is going to lead off with the Crustle. I'm like 99.9% sure he is going to lead off with the Crustle. There is a chance that he could lead off with the Scarf Primate, expecting me to expect his Crustle lead, but typically Crustle is just about always a lead whenever you see it on the team. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get this started. Actually, you know what? Yeah, giant threat outside of Guzzlord. My own Lilligant can definitely sweep him If this is Scarf Primate, I have to get rid of that. Also, he doesn't really have a safe switch in the Pyro, so the combination of Pyro and Guzzlord should be able to break his team down enough to where I should be able to pull out a victory. So let's hop right into this. So I do end up leading off with my Samurott, expecting him to lead off with the Crustle here. Turn 1, I'm going to go straight for the Waterfall. There's really no reason for him to switch directly into the Lilligant. It is turn 1. Again, Crustle just typically leads and always gets up a hazard, so I'm able to easily bring him down to his 30, which is really good. This +2 speed is not going to really end up mattering at all because I will be able to Aqua Jet and knock him out. The only issue with this is that now he gets a free switch into the Lilligant, which if Lilligant does come in here, which it does come in, there is a couple scenarios that could happen. One, he could expect me to be a Lumberry, so he's not going to go straight for the Sleep Powder. As the Lumberry Samurott, as I said, I've seen a couple of times in the PU tier, so there is a chance that that's what he's thinking I am. Focus Sash could also maybe be a thing, but I've never seen Focus Sash Samurott, so that could be something that he may expect me to be. He could also expect me to just hard switch directly on out into something like my Guzzlord, which typically does take on Lilligant 1v1 unless it is running the Hidden Power Ice and he already puts me to sleep, or if he's got the Breakneck Blitz, which does a good amount of damage to the Guzzlord, enough to the point where along with the Breakneck Blitz it can probably knock me out with Giga Drain at +1 or potentially +2 if he has already put me to sleep. So what I'm going to do is make a very aggressive play here, and very confident in the fact that he wouldn't go for the Sleep Powder, nor would he go for the Giga Drain, because it's so early on in the battle. He should expect me to either want to switch out here, or he should expect me to potentially be Sleep Powder. And I think Giga Drain at full HP to Samurott is a damage roll, if I'm not mistaken. If I remember correctly off the top of my head, it is a damage roll. However, though, I am Adamant Max Attack, so Mega Horn, while if I get an absolute min roll, I think Lilligant does live, but it is going to be in range of where I can knock it out with the Aqua Jet. So by far my best play in this scenario is to go straight for the Mega Horn. He's not switching out. He's most likely going to stay in here and either Quiver Dance predicting me to switch, or try to go straight for the Giga Drain, or predicting me to switch out and scout out to see what my initial switch in to this Lilligant is going to be. So I do stay in here as he goes for the Hidden Power Ice, and I'm going to go for the Mega Horn, and I missed. Oh. Turn 3, round 1, and I've already missed literally a potential game-changing Mega Horn. And the reason why I say that is because this Lilligant literally would have dropped. Like, I'll show you guys the calc here. Hold on. Where's Lilligant here? Samurott custom set. Yeah, custom. Look, right here. Mega Horn. A clean Oko. Actually, Giga Drain does straight Oko me, but that's if he's Life Orbed. Yeah, so as you can see here, I could have potentially lived a Giga Drain because it only has a 31% chance to knock me out. And the Mega Horn from Adamant Mystic Water Samurott is a straight Oko on the Lilligant. If you guys can't see it correctly, I'll edit it in there when I edit the video. But the fact that I missed this Mega Horn means that not only am I put back in the scenario of he could potentially Giga Drain, Sleep Powder, or Quiver Dance, but this means that he's able to save this Lilligant, which can literally just sweep me late game if I'm not able to get up rocks or put it into range of where an Adamant Ice Shard from my Piloswine is able to knock it out. So I'm honestly in a really tough spot here. I'm hoping that maybe he does expect me to be Focus Sash for some odd reason, and that he doesn't go for the Giga Drain. But honestly, again, like, this was like, I wouldn't say it was a 50-50. Like, he's either going to go for Sleep Powder, he's either going to predict me to switch out and Quiver Dance, or Sleep Powder, as I mentioned, or he's going to go straight for the Giga Drain. And I'm just hoping that he doesn't Giga Drain here. And unfortunately, he's able to knock me out, and I lose my Samurott. Samurott might have come in handy late game, so I could have got off some chip damage on the Primate, or I could have got off some chip damage on the Kangaskhan with the Aqua Jet, but because I am Bad Luck Leo, I unfortunately missed the Mega Horn. But it's fine, we still have a chance to win this battle so long as I can keep up offensive pressure and not let this Lilligant just freely Quiver Down. So I get a free switch into my Pyro here. If I was Choice Specs, I literally just got an Oko here. I would have been able to knock out the Samurott, although I guess that would have given the Sableye a free switch in, that would have then given me a free switch into my Guzzlord. So expecting him to just Aqua Jet here, not wanting to risk going for the Mega Horn, knowing I could easily knock him out, I do make an aggressive switch into my Lilligant. In hindsight, I could have also potentially brought in Guzzlord, but the fact that he's actually Life Orb is probably better for me to have brought in Lilligant here than me bringing in my Guzzlord. Although at the same time, well, no, because if I had brought in Weezing, that would have given him a free switch into Lilligant. At least by bringing in Lilligant here, he can't safely bring in his own Lilligant, but he can safely bring in the Primeape, which, judging from how his team is structured, I'm very positive is just a Vital Spirit Choice Scarf set. So I'm going to make the safe switch into my Weezing. I really don't have anything else that wants to potentially take close combat if he did want to go for it, as he's going to U-turn into the Sableye. I don't really want to stay in here and lose my Black Sludge, so I'm going to make an aggressive switch into my Guzzlord, as he actually ends up going for the taunt. And that is really nice because I essentially just get a free switch into my Guzzlord here, and I'm just gonna click Fire Blast, because if he doesn't go for the knockoff, Fire Blast should do enough damage to where if this is not Spadef bulky Sableye, I should be able to 2 KO him. Plus, there's always a chance that I could get the burn to nullify his leftovers, and there's always a possibility that I could crit him. But by going for Fire Blast, I covered him being able to get a potential free switch into the Lilligant as well. Because if I Draco'd here, I might have not been able to knock him out if he was Spadef. And judging for how much damage that Fire Blast did do, I am able to tell that he is more of a physically defensive set. As he goes for the knockoff, he gets a crit. And that's going to be a reoccurring theme in this battle. So yeah, that crit is actually a little bit annoying. Yeah, honestly, I think it would have only done about like 12% if I'm not mistaken. And then you add half the power into that, that's about 90%. So the fact that he's able to get off that extra 7% is really annoying, because this means that now my Guzzlord has a less likely chance to potentially take a U-turn from Scarf Primeape. I can't as safely switch into Lilligant, and then I may not be able to take a hit from Mega Kangaskhan. But him knocking me off is actually kind of good for me, because now, even if he goes for the recover here, Draco Meteor should be able to straight knock him out, even if he is a physically defensive set with max HP. But I missed the Draco Meteor. You gotta love Pokemon sometimes, right? So yeah, this Sableye should be gone. It should not even be here. It should literally be off of my screen. But I missed Draco, and now I'm thinking, well, he's probably gonna go for recover, so I'm gonna Sludge Bomb in hopes that maybe I can get a poison. Like, that really does not make up for me missing Draco, because this Sableye should be off of my screen. But it is nice because now I can force him to go for the recover again, get a free switch into my Lilligant, and I can literally just click Giga Drain here. The fact that taunt is so obvious because he can't let me set up means that I can safely Giga Drain here, and along with the poison damage, I should be able to beat this Sableye 1v1. And if he really wanted to keep going for the recover, I think eventually I would have got him in a turn of, if my taunt ends, he's either going to go for the taunt again, or he's put in a position of where he's got to go for the recover, or risk being knocked out by my Giga Drain. So I really felt just spamming Giga Drain here was by far my best play, as down goes the Sableye, which is really nice. In comes the Primeape, and if this is Scarf Primeape, from the build of his team, this should be Scarfape. Choice Bandit doesn't make any sense to me. I guess Iron Fist could be a thing. Either way, though, he does outspeed me, but I can easily live any one hit, take a close combat, take a U-turn, and then I can potentially go for a Quiver Dance, or I can try and pop my Z move here to potentially get off a huge amount of damage on the Lilligant, put it in range of where it'll be knocked out by Life Orb, or I can get off a humongous hit on the Kangaskhan. Unfortunately, though, he turns out to be either Choice Banded or he is Iron Fist. And again, that doesn't really make any sense to me from the build of his team. I really thought this was going to be Scarfape, but I was not really in a good scenario. Like, if I would have brought in my Weezing here, he again just gets a free switch into Lilligant, and then it can just Sleep Powder or Quiver Dance potentially, and that could be very bad for me. However, though, because he is Choice Banded, I literally have no other switch in now but my Weezing. So I have to bring in Weezing here as much as I don't want to, and I have to just go for the Sludge Bomb to not allow him to get a free switch into his own Lilligant here, as I'm going to get off a huge amount of damage, don't get a poison, which might have actually been really nice, as he's going to go for another close combat. I found it in my best interest to try and get up a layer of toxic spikes here, because by getting up T-spikes, this means I can now get off an extra 12% amount of damage on the Lilligant to hopefully put it in range of where my Piloswine will be able to beat it 1v1. And with his close combat only doing about 20-ish%, I can take another one and in return knock him out with another Sludge Bomb. However though, I think this was actually a really big misplay on my part, and what I should have done was got up a second layer of Toxic Spikes. The main reason I only got up one layer of T-Spikes was because I didn't expect this Lilligant to be in more than like 2, 3, maybe 4 turns. But if we did hit that 3 or 4 turn mark, getting up 2 layers of Toxic Spikes in this scenario would have been perfect, because even though yes, he would have knocked out my Weezing before I knock out his Primeape, I just bring in Piloswine and I literally just click Ice Shard. I click Ice Shard without any regards of what he wants to do, and then from there he is forced into the Lilligant, but then I can switch into Guzzlord, which is not straight out code by any one move coming from the Lilligant unless he was Z Hyper Beam, which could have been very likely. So I guess it was kind of a toss-up on whether or not I should have double Toxic Spiked here or not. Either way though, I do only get up one layer of T-Spikes, and now in comes the Lilligant. Unfortunately, he can literally just go for Sleep Powder and not worry about anything. Not gonna lie, was really hoping that he would miss, because outside of the poison with Sludge Bomb, I've literally gotten no hacks on him, and I've been pretty much lucked this entire matchup. This Lilligant should have been gone turn 3 in this battle, but now he can just come in and freely Quiver Dance as I switch into my Guzzlord here. Not only does he go for the offensive Giga Drain, but he gets a crit. And this crit is actually very, very important, because he's able to get off an extra like 15-ish% on my Guzzlord, which means he gains back more HP than he should have had originally, because with that crit, he is now able to knock me out with another Giga Drain instead of being forced to go for his potential Z Hyper Beam or going for the Giga Drain, risking me living potentially on a roll and then me getting off a huge amount of damage with the Fire Blast, Draco, or even the Sludge Bomb. But that crit with Giga Drain on the switch in pretty much makes everything null and void at this point. The main reason I brought in Guzzlord was because he literally had no reason to not just Giga Drain. By bringing in Guzzlord, I can guarantee that I could possibly take 2 and get an extra turn of toxic damage and potentially an extra hit off on this Lilligant, putting it in range of where I could then bring in my Piloswine and knock it out. And this is where, if I had got up that second layer of T-Spikes, I would have been able to knock him out. So the poison puts him at about 78%, which means I have to bring in my Piloswine here and just hope and pray that Adamant Max Attack Ice Shard is enough to knock him out, as I switch out here expecting him to actually go for the Giga Drain again. This wasn't entirely too bad of a play on my part, because he's not going to be gaining back much HP from the Giga Drain, and he's going to still be taking Life Orb and poison damage, putting him a little bit closer into range of where I can knock him out with the Ice Shard. At this point, he is at 62%, so I can bring in my Piloswine here, go for the Ice Shard, knock him out, and Piloswine alone should be able to win me the battle. But as I go for the Ice Shard, he lives on 2%, and that is basically the battle. That is where this crit really came in handy for him, because again, if he didn't get that crit on my Guzzlord, he wouldn't have got that 2% HP to be able to live an Ice Shard, and I wouldn't even have had to be put in this scenario if I just hit the Mega Horn turn 3. So round 1 of P Open, and I honestly just really got lucked round 1. I felt like, because this was definitely winnable, especially if I hit the Mega Horn. Even if I didn't hit the Mega Horn, I still would have been able to win this battle if he didn't crit my Guzzlord so many times. So even if I win game 2, we still have to go to a game 3. But I guess this is where winning 2 out of 3 games really does come in handy. So hopefully I don't get absolutely lucked in game 3. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. So we have game 3 here. This is actually a team I made myself, but it was made after the bans of Samurott, Barbarical, and Hariyama. Thankfully though, he only seems to have Samurott, because if he had Hariyama along with Primeape, that actually could have been really hard for this team to deal with. Also, Barbarical's Z move might have been a little bit annoying, but obviously, as you can tell from his team, he's got a sand team based around Stoutland, potentially Z move Lycanroc. This could easily be SD or just specially offensive Samurott. Shiinotic is something I don't think I've actually ever faced in PU. I kind of know what it does because I got a team passed to me by Tone with it, but I really don't know what this does besides just take hits and potentially spore things. And then he's got Primeape, which again from the build of this team could be Scarf, but the last one was either Choice Banded or it was not Iron Fist, but it was potentially Fist Plate. So going into this game, he literally gets destroyed by Lilligant plus Girder late game. The only things that deal with Lilligant and Girder is this Shiinotic, which means if I'm able to weaken Shiinotic or just get rid of it outright, I can literally win this game with either Lilligant or my Girder, barring the fact that I don't get absolutely lucked again. So expecting him to just want to lead off with either the Primeape or the potential Hippopotas, I do decide to lead off with my Golurk. With him not having any hazard removal, Golurk was by far my best lead, I felt like, because if he did lead off with Hippopotas, we were probably just going to exchange rocks turn 1, but he ends up leading off with the Ape. As he U-turns into the Hippopotas, I'm going to hard switch directly into my Lilligant, expecting him to go straight for his own Stealth Rocks and not go straight for something like a Yawn or a potential Toxic. However though, now he could potentially go for the Toxic, but because he does have a relatively safe switch into my Lilligant in the form of Shiinotic, I'm going to be a little bit aggressive here, and I'm actually going to go straight for the Quiver Dance turn 3. As he does bring in the Shiinotic, if this is not a Spadef bulky Shiinotic, I'm very positive that my Breakneck Blitz should be able to knock him out here, so I'm going to go straight for the Z move. Luckily, he didn't try to switch out here and potentially scout out for it, as it lives on 30%. It goes for the Moonblast, and here I could either go for a second Quiver Dance, or I can just go ahead and knock out this Shiinotic. Unfortunately, even at +2 speed, I do not write out Oko Stoutland, which if it's Adamant Choice Band, it can just come in and in return Oko me before I'm able to Oko him, and then in that case I lose one of my biggest threats to his team. So while it may have looked like I could have gone straight for a Quiver Dance this turn, I really felt that going straight for the Giga Drain to get rid of the Shiinotic was by far my best play, because again, this is the only Pokemon stopping my Lilligant and stopping my Girder. If you look at his team, what's Shiinotic on? Giga Drain, Giga Drain, Giga Drain, Giga Drain, and still just Giga Drain. Like, I can literally spam Giga Drain on his entire team anytime I get a free switch into my Lilligant, or if I'm able to go for a Quiver Dance and this turns out to be non-Scarf Ape and this Stoutland is not in the sand, I could potentially win with Lilligant. Although I do need to get off a bit of prior damage on the Stoutland if I want to be able to knock it out with +1 Giga Drain. So I will be forced here to potentially switch out depending on what he brings in. As he does bring in the Primeape, the way he brought it in was screaming to me that he was Stealth, not that he was a Choice Scarf, so I can't risk my Lilligant. Lilligant is still a humongous win condition in this battle. As I bring in my Golurk here, he's going to go for the U-turn. I guess in hindsight, what I could have potentially done was brought in my Lantern, but I think the issue with Lantern is that it could have given him a free switch into the Stoutland. Skuntank also could have potentially given him a free switch into the Stoutland as well, so I felt that Golurk was a decent enough middle ground play, and then if I brought in Scyther, he just got a free U-turn into the Lycanroc, which if it was Swords Dance, even though I am Choice Banded Scyther, I don't think I would have been able to knock out Lycanroc, and then Lycanroc could have potentially been a huge issue if I got up to +2 attack with Z moves. So he does U-turn into a Samurott here. I'm thinking that the waterfall is way too obvious, so I honestly did not expect him to expect me to stay in here, but he does end up just going for the safe waterfall, unfortunately getting rid of my Golurk, which actually kind of sucks, because if you look at my team outside of Scyther, which already takes 50% from rocks unless I'm able to defog, and I honestly don't want to defog because I just lost my Stealth Rocker, I have no switch in to potential close combat coming from Primeape, even if it is Choice Scarf. So I really have to be careful around this Primeape. As he knocks me out, this will give me a free switch into my Lilligant here, as I can honestly just click Giga Drain. Like, I really do not have to risk going for the Sleep Powder here because of him being knocked out regarding whatever he decided to switch in. And if he brought in Stoutland, I could have just outsped him since this was his last turn of Sand. So him bringing in the Primeape here, expecting me to Sleep Powder, was a pretty solid play on his part. This is where I kind of wish I did have my Z move, because this might have been my perfect chance to go for it, and I might have been able to just OHKO this Primeape. So unfortunately, Primeape does get a free switch in here. I still have more than enough use for my Lilligant, as I will make an aggressive switch into my Skuntank here as he goes for the close combat. This is actually not entirely too bad, because if this is Scarfape, I am guaranteed to live one close combat, and then from there I can play the mind games of whether or not I'm going to go for Pursuit or I'm going to go for the Sucker Punch. So he does go for the close combat as I'm able to live. It kind of comes down to a 50-50 in this scenario, but realistically, I don't have Pursuit on the Skuntank, so 110% my play to make here is just go for the Sucker Punch, which thankfully he does not expect, or he did expect me to go for the Pursuit, as I'm able to knock out the Primeape. This is absolutely huge, because outside of Stoutland in the sand, he has nothing to now outspeed my Lilligant at +1 speed, which I can easily Quiver Dance on the Hippopotas, because even if it has Toxic at +1 special attack, I'm still gonna beat it 1v1. If he's got Whirlwind, which is very likely, then he can Whirlwind me on the turn I go for Quiver Dance. So that is something I do have to watch out for. But if he doesn't have the Whirlwind and he only has Toxic, then I will beat it 1v1, and I can still potentially win with my Lilligant late game. Although the issue of him having Stoutland at full HP even after Rocks is still kind of a problem, but I can play around that either way. So in comes the Lycanroc. He's going to go straight for the Excel Rock, not wanting to take any Sucker Punch damage. And to be honest with you guys, I did not think Excel Rock would activate my Aftermath. And this is actually really good, because after Life Orb and Aftermath, he's in range of where a Mach Punch from my Girder can easily knock him out. Actually, fun fact, I didn't realize at the time that this Lycanroc had Life Orb, so we'll just act like I didn't know this was Life Orb, but he is in range of where a Mach Punch can straight knock him out. But because he does have a relatively safe switch into this in his Hippopotas, what I'm going to do is actually go for the knockoff, as I will be able to get rid of this thing's Violite. And at this point, Girder basically wins me the battle, so long as I'm able to get up one bulk up. So I'm going to switch directly into my Lilligant here, expecting him to actually go for the Toxic, but he goes for the Whirlwind. Whirlwinds me into my Lantern, and this is honestly not that bad, because if you look at his team, he doesn't really have a safe switch into my Lantern. Like, I can literally just click Scald here, knock out this Hippopotas, knock out the Lycanroc, or burn the Samurott or Stoutland on the switch-in. So I thought right here that 110% of my play was just to go for the Scald. There was also the possibility that he might have just clicked the Whirlwind again, although I guess Earthquaking also wouldn't have been an entirely too bad play for him to have done. Either way though, I will be able to Scald here, as I'm able to knock out the Hippopotas. Down it goes. That does give him a free switch into the Stoutland, which if it is Adamant Choice banded, I can live one return, but I do not knock him out in return. So I'm just gonna go ahead, sack off my Scyther here, because it's really not doing anything at this point. As long as he had this Excel Rock, Scyther literally did nothing in this battle. So it turns out that his Stoutland is Life Orb, and I did actually notice this Life Orb hit, I promise you guys. I did notice that he was Life Orb at this point, but regardless of it being potentially Adamant Life Orb, I can just still bring in Girder here. I am Eviolite. There is no way this Stoutland is going to put me in range of where Samurott or Lycanroc can come in and revenge kill me, so I will be able to knock him out with the Drain Punch, but he gets a crit. And that is actually really bad, because after going for the Drain Punch here, I will be at 35%. I'm still gonna take this turn of Sandstorm damage, and in comes the Samurott. Now, unless the Samurott is Adamant max attack with Mystic Water, there's actually no way he knocks me out. So in theory, I still have a chance to live this hit, go for the Drain Punch, and put myself outside of range of where an Aqua Jet should knock me out, and then in return, I can knock him out with the Mach Punch and I just win with Girder. So I have to hope that he is not a Mystic Water Samurott, as he goes for the Waterfall and he crits me again. Oh, that was really, it was honest, it was a little bit frustrating, I'm not gonna lie, because I already lost the game 1 literally just due to hacks. In the second game, I'm able to easily win with Girder, but I get crit 2 turns in a row. The second crit again might have not mattered if he was Adamant Mystic Water. We know he's not Life Orb. I doubt he's Choice Banded anyway, so he either had to be Lumberry or he had to be Mystic Water Samurott. So if he was Mystic Water, this crit didn't matter. But if he was Lumberry or like Wakamberry or something, this crit definitely did matter. I would have got off enough damage to where I would have potentially been outside of range of Aqua Jet, and then I could have just won with my Girder potentially. But no, I get critted, and now it's down to my Lilligant and Lantern versus his Samurott and Lycanroc. I guess the good thing about this is that I can just bring in Lilligant here and I basically get a KO. Even if he goes for the Aqua Jet, it's gonna do 0. If he switches out, I knock out the Lycanroc, and then as Samurott comes back in, I outspeed it and knock him out with the Giga Drain anyways. So in this scenario, his best play to do is just to sack off the Samurott. So I'm gonna be able to knock that out. And at this point, his last mon is the Lycanroc, which is Life Orb, and as long as he misses Stone Edge, I should be able to safely win this game. So he doesn't miss Stone Edge, he knocks me out, and now it all comes down to whether or not my Lantern can live a Life Orb Stone Edge, or knowing my luck from these 2 battles, he's just gonna crit me because Stone Edge has a high critical hit ratio. So he's gonna go for the Stone Edge, and thankfully I live on 11%, and I'm able to knock him out with the Scald, and now I have a chance to win this round 1 PU Open, although I should have won game 1 and I would have won this one, and then we wouldn't even have to have a game 3. But hey, that is Pokemon. Sometimes you win because of hacks and you lose because of hacks. So let's go ahead and get into game number 3. Alright guys, so we got game number 3 here. Again, shouts out to the homie Tony. He passed me this team that was based around Shell Smash, Z-Move, Karakasa, and Guts Flame over Hariyama, which again got recently banned from the PU tier. So as you can see from my opponent's team, he has another just very hyper offensively based team. This man loves Primeape. Good lord, he's brought Primeape to every single battle. Although arguably Primeape is one of the best Scarfers in the PU tier. It hits really hard, has access to U-turn, and can kind of pseudo check Lilligant by switching into a Sleep Powder. So going into this battle, the biggest threats on my opponent's team were first off going to be the dual ice types in the form of Articuno and potential Specs Vanillix, because this is Flame Orb Guts Hariyama. This is not a Assault Vest Hariyama, which was the main Hariyama that was run in last gen's NU. This is a Guts Flame Orb again. So the combination of Articuno and Vanillix is going to be very, very annoying in this battle. Also, if he gets up Rocks and Spikes, much like game 1, Rocks aren't too big of an issue, but Rocks and Spikes could be a humongous problem. One thing I completely overlooked at Team Preview was this Oricorio. Oricorio literally can get a KO if I mispredict around it, so I really have to be careful with that. But much like game number 1, I'm just going to expect him to lead off with this Crustle. As I can lead off with my Raichu, I'm going to go straight for the Volt Switch because I did not want to potentially activate his weak armor by me leading off with my Scyther. So by going for the Volt Switch directly into my Hariyama, I can activate my Guts Orb and I can put him in a position of where he literally does not safely switch anything in against my Hariyama. So I will be able to more or less safely go for the Bullet Punch here, as I'm able to knock out the Crustle. In comes the Oricorio. This is where me mispredicting against Oricorio could come to severely cost me. So expecting him to just want to go for the Revelation Dance on the off chance that I did switch into my Alolan Raichu, predicting him to go straight for the Hurricane because Revelation Dance does not knock out Hariyama, I'm actually going to switch into my Skuntank here. As he does end up going for the Revelation Dance, I will be able to safely take a Hurricane next turn, unless, you know, he turns out to be Supersonic Sky Strike and just blows me back. I really don't think that crit mattered. I'm pretty sure I was in range of where a Z Hurricane would have been strong enough to just annihilate me. As this gives me a free switch into my Alolan Raichu here, I honestly have to go for the Psyshock here. If this is a max defense, max HP Sandslash, it can unfortunately take 2 of my Psyshocks. But in that case, I could potentially get a free switch into my Golurk to be able to get on my Stealth Rocks. And getting up Stealth Rocks in this match would be absolutely amazing because half of his team is literally weak to Stealth Rocks. But it turns out that he's actually an offensive Sandslash, as I'm able to 2 KO him. Now, the main reason I didn't want to risk switching into my Golurk was because switching into a knockoff followed up by a second knockoff could have potentially knocked me out, I think, depending on damage rolls and if he was adamant or not. Although I guess in hindsight, I don't know, maybe I should have brought in Golurk. Maybe that honestly wouldn't have been an entirely too bad play on my part. I should double check the calcs, but I'm pretty sure that he would have been able to knock me out with the combination of knockoff even after Colberry. Actually, no, I would have been able to live. So yeah, me actually staying in here was a huge misplay on my part, because then I would have brought in Golurk here just to get up rocks. So yeah, I think I actually made a really big misplay here now that I think about it, by just staying in and going for the Psyshock, because honestly, I don't really need Golurk in this battle. So yeah, this was actually a really big misplay on my part. I guess at the same time though, there was a chance that maybe he would have pulled the double switch, and then me just going for another Psyshock kind of covered that. But by me getting rid of his Sandslash, I'm just free to spam Choice Specs Volt Switch and Choice Specs Thunderbolt. So he's basically in a position of where he has to go for the Revelation Dance. Unfortunately, Choice Specs Psyshock does not Oko or Oricorio at full HP, so I have to make the switch here. Honestly, Hariyama is not doing anything in this battle. Articuno comes in, knocks me out with the Hurricane. Primeape just comes in and potentially clicks Close Combat on me, and at this point, I don't know if this is going to be Scarfed or Choice Banded or even Iron Fisted, because it looks like it could be Scarfed, but his first team looked like it could have had Scarf Primeape, so for all I know, this could be like Z-Move or something along those lines. So I really felt by bringing in Hariyama here, it was a safe middle ground play, and much like earlier, I can honestly just click Bullet Punch, and I will be able to get off enough damage on this Oricorio to put it in range of where a Choice Spec Psyshock will be able to knock him out, as he's going to finish me off with another Revelation Dance. This does give me a free switch into my Alolan Raichu, and I can either go for the Thunderbolt or I can go for the Volt Switch. I actually end up going for the Thunderbolt because if I had brought in any of my other 3 Pokemon, it literally just baited him to bring in the Articuno or the Vanillux for free. At least by going for the Thunderbolt here, I can force him into the Primeape and find out if he is actually Choice Scarfed or not. And because he did bring it out right, I'm very positive that this is Scarf Primeape and this could be Scarf Vanillux, because this could have been potentially Scarf Vanillux, and then this could have been like Bandit or Iron Fist or Z-Move Primeape. So because he brought in Primeape, again, very positive that he is Choice Scarf, so I'm going to switch directly into my Scyther. Honestly, Scyther is not doing anything in this battle. I will be able to get off a huge Choice Banded hit on something, however, though, so that could definitely come in handy, but it turns out that this Vanillux actually has the Ice Shard, so that really sucks, because this does give me a free switch into my Caracosta. Basically, the main reason I brought in Caracosta was because there was no way I could have brought in Raichu. I think Raichu was like about at 70-ish%. Hold on, how much HP was Raichu at? Raichu was at, yeah, it was at 76%. So the minimum damage that Ice Shard does from Rash Nature or Naive Natured Vanillux is about 30%. And because Specs Thunderbolt is not a straight Oko on Vanillux, then that means he would have been able to get off 2 rounds of Ice Shard damage, which is 60%. Factoring in the 6% from Hail every turn, that's an extra 12%. That's 72% of damage he would have got off on my Raichu. And at this point, I need Raichu and I need Golurk if I want to have any chance of winning this battle. So by bringing in my Caracosta, if this is locked into Ice Shard, which it very well could be, then I can literally just go for Hydro Vortex this turn, blow back this Vanilluxe, or blow back the incoming Articuno or potentially the Primeape, because there's also the chance that I could just go straight for the Stone Edge. So I'm gonna go straight for the Hydro Vortex as he does bring in the Primeape, and this is gonna get straight O-Code. Honestly, him hard switching directly into Primeape was not a bad play at all, because again, I could have easily gone for the Stone Edge, or I could have potentially gone for the Shell Smash. Even at +2 speed, Scarf Primeape outspeeds Caracosta. So by me going for the Hydro Vortex here, I covered him switching into the Primeape. I would have also been able to get off a humongous amount of damage, if not O-Code the Vanilluxe. So by him losing the Primeape, this basically gives me a better chance to potentially win this battle. However though, we are not out of the woods just yet, because he can still win with just his Articuno if it turns out to be a Sub-Roost set. So he's gonna knock me out with the Freeze Dry. This gives me a free switch into my Raichu, and unfortunately, with me not getting up Stealth Rocks, I am not able to knock out this Vanilluxe with the Thunderbolt, which means I basically have to go for the Focus Blast in this scenario. Focus Blast is a straight OHKO on Vanilluxe. However though, if he decides to be aggressive and switch into his Articuno, I do not 2-hit KO Articuno with 2 Choice Specs Focus Blasts, which means in a sense this is kind of a 50-50, but realistically he shouldn't want to risk bringing in Articuno on my Raichu in the first place, which means if I miss Focus Blast here and this does turn out to be a Sub-Roost Articuno, I just lose. Like there's literally nothing I can do, and I could have avoided all of this if I didn't go straight for the 2-hit KO on the Sand Slash. That was a turn that even now I'm really looking back at and just realizing how much of a misplay it was on my part. So I have to Focus Blast here. As I go for it, I thankfully do land, and down goes the Vanilluxe. Now the only issue is if this is Sub-Roost Articuno, I still lose this battle. And honestly, I didn't even look at my screen when I clicked Focus Blast. I literally just looked away and prayed for the best, and I was able to get rid of the Vanilluxe. So now I have to pray again that this does not go for the substitute, which I guess in a sense I could have potentially stayed in and gone for the Focus Blast if he did go for substitute. But then at that point, I'm messing around with about a 49% chance to hit 2 Focus Blasts in a row. So here my best play is to switch into Golurk and hope that if he does have substitute, that for some reason I'm able to live an Ice Beam and break the sub. But he goes for the Ice Beam, turns out to be Life Orb, and the fact that he took that Life Orb hit, this Articuno is now 100% in range of Choice Specs Thunderbolt. Fun fact, I didn't notice this Life Orb hit on Articuno either. Like, I literally told my opponent in the chat that he can still win this because it was only about a 43% chance for me to knock out Articuno at 100% HP with a Choice Specs Thunderbolt. Again, this is where Stealth Rocks really would have come in handy. So I go for the Thunderbolt here. The minimum damage is 91%, actually 91.5%, and I'm able to knock him out and pull out the victory for round 1 in game number 3. And I'm not gonna lie, I was so happy I won this, man, because again, I should have won round 1 but got absolutely lucked. Almost got lucked again in round 2, and just this round 3 match, there was really no hacks at all, and I was able to pull out the victory. So good games to InfernoMonferno there. really fun round 1 matchup. Hopefully round 2 I will be able to do live and pull out another victory in that round. So with all that being said, guys, make sure to hammer arm that like button down below. Let me know how you guys enjoyed these 3 games. Let me know what you guys think about Samurott, Hariyama, and Barbarical being banned from the PU tier. So with all that being said, I'll see you all tomorrow. Later, everybody.
Cause my brain and heart are both tied in a knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion. But when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.